Welcome to VCR, Vintage Cinema Rewind. We're bringing old movies to new viewers. I'm Blake.
And it's Cat City time.
Cat City, baby!
Meow.
The 13th incarnation of Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Yeah, holy shit. So maybe we should start with Nick.
Okay, we're in the deep dive. So this is full spoilers ahead of Cat City, a weird Hungarian animated adult film from the 80s that you should go listen to our primer episode for.
Yeah, and like film in massive air quotes.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I'm being mean. I'm trying not to be mean to this movie, but
yeah, I think you're wrong, but
yeah, no, I'm it's a movie. I'm sorry. I do think it's kind of cool. And again, you know, this movie is very scrappy and very raw and very rough around the edges, but like, you know, I was thinking like when I was a young person, I really responded well to productions like this because it made filmmaking or writing seem more accessible to me. It's kind of, you're just kind of like, oh shit, I can do this, right? You know? And I almost kind of feel like that might have been the impetus for this movie. Like a little studio or a person was just like, fuck it, we can make an animated movie, and they did.
Yeah.
You know? So kudos.
Getting into the history of like Hungary, like they did have a bit of a animated studio production. Like this is from a writer who was known for making several animated films and TV shows.
Oh, okay. Well, hush my mouth then. Anyways, maybe we should start with, who do you want to start with? Because there's quite a bit of characters. Should we talk about Lazy Dick, actually? Let's get Lazy Dick out of the way.
That's a very random character to start with.
Yeah,
he's maybe like almost the most inconsequential character.
And yet, so much time is given to him.
So here's my crazy, like, me almost getting too far into movie reference land. I think Crazy Dick is Gandalf.
All right, Blake, I'm listening.
So
proceed.
So Gandalf is on this adventure. The Balrog happens, and Gandalf's plane crashes, and he ends up trapped in this location and is saved by some some Latin vampire bats.
You know what? Actually, maybe we should have mentioned this last week, but like, we probably should talk about the racial stereotypes.
Yeah.
And how blatant they are.
Right.
Like the vampire.
I mean, it's almost like too easy to go there.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
It's so blatant that like it's
I
really
guess you know what?
obvious.
Just pretend I said this last week. If you're sensitive to stuff like this, maybe don't check this movie out. Just pretend I said that last week, okay, everybody?
Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it's that insensitive necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I remember especially when the bats showed up and started speaking that accent, I was a little like, wow. Okay.
You know, okay, with Mexican people in your movie, Michael?
Yeah, that's what it is. I want to just build that wall around all of cinema. No, nobody clip that audio, okay? Like, no. I just, you know, if you're sensitive to like slightly problematic racial stereotypes, just be aware of that. Pretend I warned you last week. Okay, moving on. I get what you're saying about Lazy Dick, kind of, because Gandalf just periodically leaves the Lord of the Rings.
Right.
More so the Hobbit, I guess.
But even like, so here, the reason why this is also my theory is like Gandalf shows up and saves the day, and like the bats are kind of like the stand-in for the eagles in a sense.
Yeah, I get.
Like the first time I watched this movie, when the bats fly in at the very end, and I was like, the eagles are here!
They did it. I was more just kind of like, oh wow, they actually paid that off. Like, good job, everybody. So, my favorite Lazy Dick moment is when he's at the edge of the river and he's like, I need a boat. And he just builds one out of leaves.
Right.
And we see the whole process. It's kind of charming, actually.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, all right.
I find Lazy Dick's storyline to feel maybe the most Looney Tunes of the film. Like, it's kind of got this like Looney Tunes childhood charm to it that I remembered from my childhood.
Kinda, yeah. There's also that moment when like he's going down the river and he's about to go over a waterfall, so he starts like playing his trumpet at it, which kind of works, but he's also in a plane crash. And
he's the only survivor.
Yeah, he's the only survivor because he was in the shitter.
Yeah, and because they got hijacked. It was cat pirates hijacking the plane.
Yeah, which also potentially hasn't aged that well, but yeah. Oh, Lazy Dick.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from Lazy Dick.
I just want to say that like the fact that Lazy Dick saves himself from being having his blood sucked out by Latin vampire bats is to lay down like some sick jazz. Is like
that makes everybody cry.
It's kind of like the highlight of the movie, in my opinion. But
you know what? I take back all the bad things I said about Lazy Dick. He is kind of not the hero we need, but the one we deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe what's interesting to me about this movie, at least from a structural standpoint, is how we don't really spend that much time with the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, Nick is supposedly like the main character, but like he doesn't seem to do all that much. And like up until the bitter end, he doesn't really seem troubled or threatened by anything either.
Yeah, he kind of has this like slow pace to it, and it kind of reminds me of Indiana Jones, where it's like if Grabowski wasn't in this movie, would anything have actually changed?
No, right? Well, and I think that's partly the perspective. Like we spend more time with the villains trying to get him.
Yeah.
But like what's funny is that he's constantly like, again, up until the bitter end, he's not troubled or threatened by anything.
Or
right?
like moving with any urgency. And I kind of love that about Grabowski, is that he just kind of is moving at his own pace.
Yeah, he is cool. Like he's likable. There's that great moment though, when in the first scene we meet him where he's like in the cabin talking to the FBI director and like he's karate chopping.
You mean Einstein?
Einstein, excuse me. And he's like karate chopping the table and stuff.
Yeah.
And like at one point he karate chops like a loaf of bread in half. And Einstein is like, see, you're doing great. And Nick is kind of just like, I was aiming for the table. And then he has this line where he's like, I'm burnt out and I don't know if I can do this anymore. And like my writer brain was kind of like, oh, okay, so this is going to be his arc, right? Like realizing,
right,
overcoming burnout, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's fine. Like he's not burnt out at all. Like he's still like the coolest dude on the planet. Yeah.
He's kind of like the one last job kind of guy, you know?
Yeah, but like every job is one last job.
Yeah.
Right? You know, we spend a lot of time with the rat gangsters in the desert trying to run him down. But as we find out later, he hacked their system and it's just fucking with them the whole time.
Yeah, which is great, honestly.
It is so funny to me that like at one point he literally just pulls his car over and he's like, can I give you guys a lift?
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, sure, right?
Yeah.
So like that's how confident he is that he'll actually like let his mortal enemies into the car with him and then just drive off with them.
Right.
Safely deposit them somewhere else.
It's really great.
The rats, I thought they really overstayed their welcome in this movie, but I did kind of like the dynamic they had.
Yes.
Especially with the dark-haired, no-nonsense one.
Yeah, the one who didn't care about anything, but was actually secretly the most intelligent one of the four of them.
Yeah, so like, again, this is, you know, the spoiler episode, but like, you got the two dudes who are constantly fighting, and then you've got like kind of this valley girl stereotype, right?
Right.
And I kept wanting to call her Velma, but it's like she's just kind of this dark-haired, slightly goth woman, right?
Yeah.
And it is funny how between the four of them, she's the only one who actually accomplishes anything.
Right.
Like there's a great moment when like Nick deposits them next to like a dealership and they're arguing over what to do. I think her name's Kathy. She just suddenly steals a car and like turns the corner, and he's just like, or the one other rat is like, wow, that's amazing. How much did it cost? And she's like, it's going to cost us about 2 years if you don't get in. I actually like watching this movie. I was like, I kind of like that actually. Like I like the dynamic of like a team of four.
Yeah.
Where three of them are fucking morons, and one of them, the one who's not the leader, is actually secretly the powerhouse. Right. She's secretly the power behind the throne.
She just like doesn't care enough about anything to actually like progress this team forward or lead them.
Yeah, kind of, right? So like, and it's funny when Nick pulls over and is all like, do you want to ride? She's the one who's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it, right?
Yeah, because everybody else is just like so in shock that he would ask them.
And then at one point she like steals the tires off like a cement mixer to like fix the car or something. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. Actually, the moment with the rats I like the most is when Grabowski, Nick is drowning. They just happen to like be flying overhead in a plane and they chuck a bottle out the window.
Right.
Nick hops into the bottle and then like uses his tail as a propeller and just flies off to safety.
Yeah, that's one of the comments about this movie that like is wildly inconsistent, is like the size of the animals and like the objects. It's just like varies wildly from scene to scene.
Yeah, which is kind of punk rock about it, to abuse that term. But like, you know, at some point Nick can be standing next to the rat. Like in one scene, Nick and the rats can all pile into the same car.
Yeah.
In another scene, they're so much bigger than him that even one of their bottles is big enough for him to hide in.
Well, and even like the cats and like the mice, like there are points in time like during the hijacking of the plane, like the cats aren't that much bigger than the mice, but in other scenes like the cats tower over the mice.
Yeah, they're giants, right?
Yeah.
So
it's great.
Anyway, though, going back to the whole bottle thing, I did find it funny. I'm like, they are so bad at killing this guy, they're actually helping him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys suck at your jobs.
Oh, I love the gangster rats. I love, too, that the gangster rats were ballet dancers who, for whatever reason, were hired by a guy to become, like, a crack team of assassins because they have ballet skills. And I'm like, did John Wick steal this?
Yeah, kind of. That's the real kicking point in this movie, right?
Yeah. And I find that the gangster rats, like, yeah, okay, they do overstay their welcome. I very much agree with that. But I do find the whole, like, scene of them trying to get Grabowski and like getting so far up their own asses like that they even just like pass by him, like because he's just like plodding along.
Mm-hmm. Again, no urgency, no great hurry. Yeah.
I like how they're all stylized as well. Like they each have kind of their own unique style, and like each one of them is kind of pulling from like it's their own kind of reference to other movies,
like their own genre.
Yeah, like Scarface and Dirty Harry are basically like the two male rats, and then one of the female rats is actually from Cabaret.
Oh yeah, I can kind of see it.
Yeah,
Sally Knowles. I wonder how Sally's doing. Should we talk about Tiffel and Schrepanek?
Yeah, I mean they're kind of the focus of the whole movie, right?
Kind of, yeah.
And
by the way, to everyone at home, that is me and Blake's relationship. He's got a metal hand. I'm Schrepanek. He keeps beating me up.
Well, and I love that
so
the cats in this movie are basically the Soviets, right? And
yes.
They're kind of doing these crazy experiments to eradicate the mice. But I like this hierarchy that shows in this movie, right? Like whereas Tuffel is like, you know, he's like the director, right? He's the one who's supposed to be leading everything and making everything happen and like putting plans into place. But he's got Safranek, who is basically like the one who actually executes everything and also comes up with all the ideas. And he just relentlessly bullies Safranek.
Yeah, and like almost psychologically tortures him. Like,
yeah.
At one point, after I think he's beaten him up twice, he's just like, Dr. Claus, like, you don't really like me that much, do you? And he's like, no, I love you. And he's like, that's good. Inferiors should love their boss. And I was like, wow. I feel like I've had a boss like this, actually.
But what I even find even more interesting in all of that is how this hierarchy works even higher up.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
How Tuffel, Dr. Claw, has his own boss that he's afraid of.
Yes.
I actually thought that was really compelling storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how we're kind of, you know, set up to fear Dr. Claw because of just, again, the power he holds and like how everyone else is scared of him.
Right.
But then there are like two distinct scenes where Teffel just gets on the phone with his boss, who we don't even really see. It's just kind of this like...
He's kind of like this... He's a stand-in for the oligarchs.
Essentially, right?
Yeah.
And there's a really great moment where they get off the phone with him and like the phone call didn't go super well. So we see Teffel down an entire tube of antacids and then down an entire bottle of liquor.
Right.
Like he's terrified of this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought like that is again, good storytelling to just show that like there's an even bigger bad beyond the big bad that the big bad is scared of.
Yeah, I really like that was included in there, especially that there's the scene where he's talking to the oligarch and the oligarch sitting there and he's got like all of the ex-directors' heads mounted on his wall.
Yeah, that was really good. Or like how he's like got three beautiful women just pampering him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I found that kind of storyline really compelling and I kind of was super interested. Like that part of the movie actually activated my brain a lot more than the Grabowski stuff did, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean that's what's kind of, and we talked about this in the spoiler episode, that's what's kind of bizarre about this movie is that the main character is barely even a character.
Right.
I will say Grabowski does have a couple great lines. Like, you know, there's a moment when like he hangs off the roof and then snaps back up and that woman is like, oh, did you get hurt? And he's like, it's not my habit. And I was like, all right, cool. Like,
it's pretty great.
Yeah. If that were me, I'd be like, it's not my habit. And then I'd instantly trip and fall over something. Like the weird little love plot between Grabowski and that woman it was bare
Like late in the third act?
yeah, and like I was actually looking at the poster this morning, and they're in each other's arms on the poster,
Right.
to the point where you might think this is a love story, but she's barely even a character. Like to the point where when they kiss right at the end, I'm like, what? Grabowski, what are you doing?
I mean, that to me is like a James Bond, like a parody of the James Bond films.
yeah, and I guess to be fair, like you put a man and a woman next to each other on film, and people are like, oh, they're gonna kiss or something, right?
Yeah.
So I do actually want to say I did particularly like how Grabowski's tail is his secret weapon.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, they're leaning into the whole mousiness angle of this, right? There's even that great moment early on where he's having his meeting with Einstein in the woods, and he catches them being spied on, and he just very discreetly uses his tail to like chuck something at it.
Yeah.
I was like, tight. I want a tail.
Yeah, like that's basically his, like you said, his primary weapon instead of a gun or something like that. I do want to talk about the cat kid, like Safranek's daughter.
We should talk about that because in some ways that's almost like the most, if not the only, emotionally affecting moment in the movie.
Right.
Where, you know, Safranek's daughter has this mouse that she's playing with. And then I actually liked the turn that it was Safranek.
Yes.
I was kind of like, oh, this is interesting. Like, there's a lot of potential for compelling storytelling here. And then we never go back.
Well, and what I find interesting about it, before I get into kind of behind the scenes of that, I like how it's Safranek's daughter specifically, because, you know, Safranek up until this point is the one who's perpetually being bullied, and like you almost might feel for the guy a little bit, and then to then reveal that he's a racist prick at home, and that he sucks as a father is, I think actually that
it just kind of let you enjoy him being bullied a little more, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of like,
yeah, there are no good characters in this hierarchy. So where this is interesting is I actually didn't mind that original scene, and then like you said, it does kind of feel like it goes nowhere. But that was actually a bit of studio meddling.
Really?
Yes. This was always supposed to be an adult animated film, but they felt like it was maybe too evil and like too negative towards cats specifically. So they wanted
this is bad PR for the cats.
Yeah, so they wanted to add Kathy's character in to kind of soften the cat attack on this.
I guess, you know, you could maybe even sort of infer that like the scene is almost kind of saying that like, yeah, you're right, cats aren't inherently evil.
Right.
And it's also maybe kind of a broader statement about how like racism is taught.
Yeah.
You don't come out of the womb hating people.
Mm-hmm.
You come out of the room just wanting to hang out with your friends and share cheese with them.
Yeah, so basically, like, it was actually a Canadian producer was involved with this as well, and he was the one who was pushing for Kathy's character or something like it to be added to the film, and there was enough pushback to only limit that character to like basically like 1.5 scenes.
Is she in half a scene?
Yeah, she kind of appears later. She's like sitting with Safranek watching TV or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is kind of funny. It's just like, well, we want a character to prove that, you know, cats aren't inherently evil. And the filmmaker's like, all right, we'll give you one.
Yeah.
But I mean, to the producer's credit, it is probably it's probably the most emotionally affecting moment in the scene.
Yeah.
And again, it is kind of like where you could see how like a bigger studio might latch onto that and be like, no, that's the movie.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I actually think that, again, because this movie is so politically charged, that I think that becomes kind of one of those other interesting like talking points, right? Of like, oh, you know, like kids aren't inherently prejudiced or racist or whatever, and it's actually something that you're kind of is bred into you.
Yeah, the only thing kids are inherently is annoying. Other than that, they're totally pure.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks.
Oh man, we've gone all over the place. I have no idea where to go next.
Much like this movie itself, Blake. It's just kind of... I did want to point out, I did do a little bit of research on this movie. Mm-hmm. There is apparently an English dub.
Yes.
But it is lost to time. Apparently, it's only on VHS.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently there was an English dub that was released in VHS in like the 90s, but like newer DVD and Blu-ray releases do not include it.
Interesting. Well, and from what I understand, like the English dub actually changed quite a bit of this movie. Like often I find the English dubs do.
Well, it's like a retranslation, right?
Right, but they like take out some of like the really like offensive jokes. Apparently they took out the joke about Safranek and his wife.
That's a shame. That's the best joke in the movie.
But they also like apparently deleted references to everybody dying on the plane except for Lazy Dick.
Yeah.
And they call him Billy Bugle instead.
Billy Bugle.
Yeah.
No, I want to hear about Lazy Dick. I don't give a fuck about Billy Bugle.
And one of the cats was called Pissy because in Hungarian that doesn't sound as bad. They called her Candy in the English dub.
That's pretty funny. I wonder how they would have localized that though, with everyone surviving the plane crash. It's kind of like, did you ever see, like, you're not really a Dragon Ball Z guy. So, for instance, there's a scene where a villain shows up and instantly flattens an entire city.
Right.
And then in one of, like, the toned-down English dubs, they were just like, he flattens the whole city, and then the villain just offhandedly will say, "Too bad it's Sunday and all those buildings were empty." You know, shit like that. So I wonder if they were just like, they added a dialogue where it's like, "Oh, we're okay." Like,
yeah, they might just not have focused on it. Like maybe they just showed him like, I don't even know how you cut that.
yeah, hey, if there are anybody localizers out there, how would you fix that?
I mean, you could be disoriented and just be like, well, how did he show up in the jungle again?
Yeah, you'd
And
almost
then
have to
forget
just
about
like
it.
cut that scene. Just be like, cut to the next scene.
Yeah. But again, I actually, you're maybe more down on Lazy Dick than I am, but I actually like the Lazy Dick storyline, as ridiculous as it is.
Kind of. I guess it's just like, I have a hard time turning off like the writer part of my brain where like
Right.
every time Lazy Dick showed up, I'm like, why are we here? Like, what do you want? Get out of my movie. Yeah.
Yeah, because him and Grabowski were supposed to meet somewhere in South America to get the plans to the ultimate weapon to defeat the cats, right?
Right. Yeah. So
And I love how the cats are basically like so OP in this movie that like they even have a bug, like the war room like fully bugged.
that was cool actually. I did enjoy that scene.
And they like even the rats or the mice are like, you know, like this is basically just for show that we look like we're in control basically.
Yeah. Well, and it's compelling too how it's framed where like Grabowski has to jump through all these hoops to get into like the secret council meeting. And then Dr. Claw just flicks the switch on his computer and there it is, right? So
Yeah. Not Grabowski, the Einstein character.
yeah, him too.
I love too that like the ultimate weapon is just a giant dog.
Yeah. That actually was a pretty good payoff.
Yeah.
Just a giant dog, right? Yeah. Well, it's funny, earlier on in the movie I'm like, where are the dogs? And then
Right.
There you go.
Yep. There it is.
Hey.
Giant robotic dog. I guess if I had to kind of sum up overall like the highs and lows of the movie, like I actually think that in the first half of the movie, it's the Tuffle and Safranek storyline that I find is the most compelling.
Right.
But in the second half, when the action really starts to pick up, is when it actually does get more exciting in the Grabowski side of things.
Well, I did like how towards it's not till like the very, very end that Grabowski actually seems threatened and on the back foot about something.
Right.
That's when he goes to meet like the oligarch, and I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm paying attention now, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like that big epic shootout like between the cats and the mice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too. So, no, this movie's a vibe. And as sometimes happens, I'm not great at passing vibe checks,
Yeah.
literally or figuratively. So, I did enjoy this movie though. It did draw a couple chuckles out of me.
It's fun. The only other movie references that I did want to like point out as well is like obviously Star Wars in the opening crawl. Like they literally say A New Hope.
Yeah, this would have been like pre A New Hope, like pre it being like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know when it was called A New Hope for the first time.
I think it was just Star Wars, so like 96 or
Really?
something before. Yeah, actually, that's might be just an outrageous coincidence.
Huh.
Yeah. Or maybe George Lucas saw this movie and went, actually, actually, A New Hope.
I didn't realize that. I thought they had changed it like sometime between the second and third movie or something maybe.
I'm pretty sure they didn't change it to like, I don't think they changed it until George Lucas announced the prequel trilogy.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so that is kind of cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is funny seeing that. I don't know if I should say this. Superman opens with an opening crawl.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting.
Well, and opening crawls actually in film history, I believe, existed pre-Star Wars.
Yeah, it was more like harkening back to like the film serials of like the 40s and 30s and stuff.
Right.
But,
Yeah, it's just Star Wars kind of popularized
yeah,
it,
at
or
this point,
repopularized it.
and that's how you know you're successful, when you do something that everyone else is doing, but now it's yours.
Yeah.
You know? You're
Yeah.
like, this is mine now. You can't touch it.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars kind of did that with a lot of different things. Like, it's kind of the crossroad of old movies.
Kind of, yeah. Kudos to you, George Lucas.
Yeah. I kind of thought of the A-Team as well. I think that was maybe me putting more on it with the gangsterettes than anything, but
It is kind of like like imagine the A-Team if they sucked at their job. So just imagine the A-Team.
yeah. I do like the rat drunk driving comment too, where they're getting pulled over and he's like, "Oh, I need you to take the wheel."
You should take the wheel. I've got some prior convictions here. Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah,
really
as
great.
much as I thought the rats overstayed their welcome, they probably had some of the best jokes in the whole movie.
Yeah, I actually think the chase scene goes on more or less as long as it needs to up until the point when Grabowski picks them up, but I think it probably goes on a little too long after that.
Yeah. But I guess, you just kind of, and this is where I have trouble with it, you have to just be okay with the narrative such that it is being a little chunky and unfocused.
Right.
Some movies can do that really well. Some can't.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying this movie didn't. I'm just saying it didn't work for me.
fair enough.
I feel like everyone in the comments is probably like, oh, so like 2 weeks ago, Michael was raving about the incest movie, but now he can't vibe with like the funny mouse movie. What an asshole.
Yeah, for all of the like 4 people who have seen this movie.
Yeah.
I guess that's everything I want to talk about plot
Yeah,
wise.
I think that covers the plot. We circled it as well as we can.
So sequels, prequels, and reboots. This actually does have a sequel, believe it or not, called Cat City 2.
That's right, 2007, right?
The Cat of Satan. Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that was the title.
Yeah, it's not as well received, but it was actually the most watched Hungarian film of 2008.
Great.
And again, that's why this movie is something that we're talking about, because it's actually like a really big cult film in Hungary.
Yeah, I mean, big enough to get a sequel like 20 years later. So it
Yeah.
must have done something, right?
And I believe the director and the writer came back for this, plus some of the voice actors. So,
Okay, interesting.
yeah, it kind of has a weird premise to it, but I mean, see this movie as well. It's about an investigative journalist named Stanley Mouse going to a lost cat tribe in Africa, because at this point I believe the cats have been fully eradicated, and then once he finds the tribe, like, it kind of makes things go out of hand again between the cats and the mice.
That's actually not a bad premise, right? You're
Yeah.
just you're flipping the world on its head,
Mhm.
where now the cats are on the back foot and the mice are in control.
Right.
Shit, I'd watch that. Well, apparently it's not that great.
Yeah.
What a title, though. The Cat of Satan.
The Cat of Satan.
Yikes.
I don't know much more about it than that, but it actually was also adapted into a comic book, and it was illustrated by the writer and director of this movie. Or sorry, I think it was illustrated by the writer Joseph Knapp. Yeah, it came out, believe, a year after this movie did. As well, there's a musical based on this movie available that premiered originally in December 2011.
You're making that up.
Nope.
Okay.
Like I said, this movie is like, actually, it's so funny because nobody in the West would ever know about this movie, but it's actually like a relatively widely known film in
Hungary.
Yeah,
So I'm not allowed to go to Hungary anymore.
in Europe. Yeah.
Because I talked some shit about this movie.
Yes.
All right, well. It's kind of like how The Witcher was a huge deal in Poland before it gained like international acclaim.
Yeah.
Like a huge deal in Poland.
Right. So are you saying that Cat City has some legs?
I guess I am,
At some point in time,
It'll
the
blow up.
West will appreciate Cat City?
Maybe it'll be because of this fucking podcast. In which place will be received in Hungary as guests of honor.
As gods.
As gods. Yeah. You hear that, Hungary? We're coming for you.
So effects and filming, we talked about a lot of this already.
It's animated.
The only one that I want to mention is that the Soviet theatrical version was actually quite a bit, they cut like 6 minutes out of it.
Oh, really?
So they cut out the meeting between Einstein and Grabowski at his cottage. They cut the daughter out. They cut, which is fine by you, I think. Or maybe you wanted to expand it?
I wanted it expanded. I actually thought there was something there.
I thought there was too, but I think cutting it out completely actually maybe helps with the pacing because it is kind of like super random.
Yeah,
you kind of like cut to it and you're like, where are we?
I guess
right
it
now?
also like it might arguably add to the black comedy is if you think Schaffernak is like actually sympathetic.
Yeah.
It adds to like the callousness of this movie.
And they also cut out some of Safranek being punished. Because
well, fuck that. Come on.
like I said, there's definitely some anti-Soviet undertones to the relationship between Tuffle and Safranek.
Yeah, that is fair.
The original title of this film was Max Skafago. Probably have not pronounced that right in Hungarian.
Okay, I haven't gotten Schaffernak right once.
But apparently it translates to cat catcher.
Oh, that's actually arguably a better title.
Probably, yeah, actually. I don't know why they
Catcatcher.
didn't use that.
Yeah, come on, guys. Get your fucking shit together.
And like I said, the legacy of this movie, it's a cult classic in Hungary. And
If I'm ever dating a Hungarian woman who's slightly older than me, I can be like, have you seen Cat City?
yeah, I mean, Jess's family is Hungarian, but they came over.
Are they?
Yeah, but they came over in like World War, like right after World War II, I believe. So
so they're okay.
They don't
missed
have
it.
the connection to Cat City like our Hungarian ladies and gents.
We should show this
do.
to your father-in-law. See what he thinks.
I don't know that he feels like particularly close to the Hungarian heritage. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well, it was a nice thought.
yeah, but it was wrong. You shouldn't have thought it.
Well, most of my thoughts
Put
are.
your thought and bottle it all up inside your head. And put it
well,
away.
then I'll throw it into the ocean and save Grabowski so he can continue his mission.
Oh man, isn't it like cat pirates that show up at that point?
Something like that.
I
yeah.
love like all the ridiculous things. You're like, where can we go next? And it's like cat pirates.
It is funny how like I just saw this movie 2 nights ago, but I'm already kind of like, it's already kind of fading into my memory like a bad dream. where
Yeah.
I'm just like, wait, what?
Well,
like,
I find that like James Bond movies are like this as well, where I can enjoy them and be like, yeah, I really like that, and then I can't remember how the
it's like a
plot
fugue
beats work.
state afterwards where you're like, I think he fought a crocodile or something in a restaurant.
Things just move really fast, and you go from like cool set piece to cool set piece, and it's like those stories are more in service of like, you know, cool set pieces and beautiful women and like awesome locations,
Cool
and action
gadgets.
scenes,
Yeah.
cool gadgets, like, and plot kind of feels secondary to a lot of that.
Well, I think like with Mission Impossible, they flat out admit that they just come up with the stunts and then they're like, now we need a story to tie all these stunts together. And you know what? Like, if that works, that works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say like I'm now 4 Mission Impossible movies in. Jess and I were watching them for the first time, and like you can see where like the big set pieces. Like there's kind of always one really big set piece that they're kind of building towards.
Which, you know what? If that people like those movies and like, you know, if that's what you want out of your story, then go for it, right?
Yep.
It is kind of like, you know, it's like every 5 minutes something dramatic has to happen.
Right. Well, I actually think that Mission Impossible is actually a little bit less of an offender than that in that regard than James Bond is. Like,
Oh, okay.
they spend a little bit more time in different specific set pieces, and like some of the action sequences are they actually spend their time with the action sequences or like the big set piece kind of thing, whereas like James Bond, you're gonna like have like a 5-minute big set piece, and then you're gonna move on and like see something like some cool car or something like that, and then you're gonna go see like some cool gadgets, and then there's gonna be some quippy moments with like a woman at night somewhere and it's dark because it's night.
You know, I've started reading thrillers again, and they're kind of like that, where you're just like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Ah,
Yeah.
and then afterwards, you're like, "That was a great book." You know? So,
well, it's more about like, again, it's kind of a vibe movie,
Yeah.
and I feel like James Bond movies are actually a little bit vibe movies as well.
I guess every movie's a vibe movie. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did want to say, I almost forgot about this. I was going to bring up my Matrix connection.
Oh shit, that's right.
So my Matrix connection is that the fact that this takes place in like a world controlled by the mice or by the cats, and the mice are like kind of
Subservient.
subjected.
Yeah.
And then like Grabowski, like the reference of Grabowski thinking that he's like the 13th incarnation of Mickey Mouse, and like the ideas of the Matrix, and like how Neo's kind of like the 6th or 7th incarnation of like this godlike figure.
Blake, spoiler alert. That's not revealed until Reloaded. I've been meaning to rewatch that trilogy actually before we
So
do
do
our
I.
top 100.
So do I.
I actually did go through a phase a few months ago where I rewatched parts, like some of the clips, and that scene where he talks to, what's it, like
Colonel Sanders?
the architect? Yeah,
Yes.
Colonel Sanders. I was kind of like, wow, I can see how this turned people off back in the day because I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, when Jason and I did the Matrix like series, like beginning this podcast, like right as we were starting, like second episode, we did like a deep dive on it, and because I have watched these like the Matrix movies like dozens of times, and so like I did a deep dive and like fully understood them. And like walking away from them, they're like, yeah, there's a lot there. There's even in like the second and third movie, which are way less regarded, and I think that are like deeply, especially the third movie is like deeply flawed.
Is it?
Yes.
I have very fond memories of all three movies, but I do also have very fond memories of watching people explaining things and just sitting there at like 12 years old being like, I have no idea what they're talking about, you know?
Yeah, this is like the Matrix series is like one of my like, if I ever finally sit down and start editing movies how I want to, like Matrix is top of my list. Like we're weirdly hijacking this, but I'll
hey,
paint my theory out.
You're
real
editing
quick.
this episode. You can leave it in. You can cut it.
Yeah.
It's all you, buddy.
My quick pitch to you, because you weren't on that episode, is that I think that the second and third Matrix movie, if you cut out all of the secondary characters, the like boy who worships Neo and everything.
Yeah, the kid.
Yeah, you make that like, instead of making it two movies, you make it like a really sharp, like 2 hours and 2.5 hour movie. I think it's actually a really good movie in there. It's just, it got bogged down by like them wanting to put butts in seats and sell 2 movies in 1 year.
I guess, well, it's also like trilogies are kind of the go-to IP, you know what I mean? Like everybody wants a trilogy.
Yeah, but like that was actually pretty new back then. Like the Lord of the Rings hadn't even really come out then. Like it was just the beginning of, like Star Wars had been out already, and like
I guess that would have been the Star Wars though of that generation, like slightly before us. Well,
yeah, like I guess more adult Star Wars. Like Star Wars was still kind of targeted towards kids, I think.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Star Wars would have been, like, Gen Xers, and that would have been... The Matrix would have been for, like, slightly older millennials.
Yeah, because I would say, like, us younger millennials is more Lord of the Rings, which comes out at a pretty similar time, but plays to a younger audience at that time.
What's Gen Z's trilogy?
It's going to be Dune.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So
anyways.
We'll see how Denis Villeneuve lands the plane on that. He's doing a James Bond movie.
Is he?
Yeah, he's doing the next James Bond movie for Amazon.
Oh, like pre-Dune Part 3? Or
Yeah,
oh.
I think so.
I have to imagine after 2 back-to-back movies, you'd probably be like, okay, like, I'm going to take a break, and then I'll come back and finish this.
Yeah, I think he's in, like, the process of writing Dune Messiah.
That's going to be a tough one to adapt.
Have you read it?
I tried. I think I got 1 chapter in and went, yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's written very differently too. Like it's very
That's tough because I think that their first Dune book is like one of the most well-written books ever.
Oh, easily. And you know, I've heard people criticize the writing style over the years, but I think they're wrong.
Yeah,
they're all full of shit.
Anyway, let's get back into Cat City. Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Personal reviews on the partner factor. I really like this movie. I think that it has like a really interesting social commentary that's aged actually really well. And I think that it pays off knowing a little bit of history between like the Soviet Union versus the West. I think that the movie references and other culture references are a fun time capsule to kind of spectate while you're watching this movie and try to catch the different ones, because I don't think that I caught all of them.
No, you're right.
And so I think that's probably why I enjoy this movie, is for those 2 reasons alone. I think that this movie is wildly entertaining and like pretty funny. I think that there's probably a little bit of pacing issues, especially in like the first act with Grabowski kind of plotting his way, and like the gangster rats kind of do overstay their welcome.
If I watched this movie 2 nights ago, in my memory, that's half the movie.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, holy shit. Like, we were there a long time, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. That chase did go overly long. It's no Mad Max Fury Road chase scene.
It's like, what's that meme where it's like, I'm going to tell my kids this is Mad Max? Yeah. My personal review, yeah, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love it, and I didn't watch this with a partner, so it was just kind of like, I feel like this is a movie where you really need to experience it with other people.
I think that having a laugh and like talking through it would actually make this more enjoyable
like
as
if
well.
I'd watched this with you and your wife or just you, I would have been looking over at you guys the whole time like, are you guys seeing this shit? Like what am I looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I talked out loud watching this one with Jess, and I kept being like, "Whoa, that reference! Oh, that reference!" Like stuff like that. I'm like, the Eagles have landed.
The Eagles have landed. The Mexican Eagles.
Yeah, no, Jess liked this one as well, but I think her main problem was that the pacing is somewhat awkward at certain points in time.
It is poorly structured, let's say.
Yeah.
Or let's say loosely structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're perfectly right. I love that you summarize this as like, this movie is very punk rock, and that's probably why I like it more than you do, because I kind of like some rawness to a film and to like a style, and like, you know, the fact that these people went for it, and for the most part, apart from like Kathy the cat being kind of this extra character that
Kathy was fun.
Yeah.
I liked Kathy.
Yeah, it worked. It just like almost like felt too out of place in the rest of this movie.
Yeah, this movie, and again, I'm going to stick to my guns here. It feels like a first draft in the sense that there's just a lot of things that don't fully hang together. And if you have the right attitude, which I don't, I have a serious attitude problem, you can enjoy it.
Yeah, like I did. I find this movie quite fun.
Yeah, I did find it fun too.
Well, that is Cat City.
Tell your Hungarian dad. And if the entire great nation of Hungary is listening, Blake and I are available for speaking tours.
Yes.
Let's do it.
We don't understand a lick of Hungarian, but
no, we don't. But
we have watched your most famous movie.
Yeah, but we have watched your most famous movie. Maybe you can hire an interpreter. I don't know. This joke is withering on the vine. Let's just end this.
All right, we will see you next time. As always, tell your Hungarian dad, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.